Okay, so here it is. If you're wondering why there's so little action on climate change, look no further than the financial statements of APPEA, which is the oil and gas lobby, this incredibly powerful, secretive organisation that represents foreign multinational oil and gas producers. Now, we've been chasing this document for a long time because APPEA, backed by all these multinationals, has been breaking the law. They haven't been filing their accounts in accordance with the Corporations Act. So while they're breaking the law, the fines, the penalties, even jail time threats for protesters are going through the roof in various states. Thank you, APPEA. So what have we got in this document that we finally got our hands on? We only got it because politicians kindly put some pressure on ASIC, the corporate regulator, to make them obey the law and file their financial statements. And here they are. Let's just have a quick look at the directors. Who are the directors? Chevron, US owned. ConocoPhillips, British multinational. Santos, majority foreign owned Australian multinational. BHP, Shell, British Dutch multinational. Inpex, Japanese multinational. Woodside, Australian multinational, foreign majority owned. And ExxonMobil, the biggest tax dodger in Australia, American owned. Oh, Mitsui too, Japanese. So what have we got here? Their achievements through the year. They're bragging about their achievements. Well, here we go. Successfully resolved the issue of long-term liability for rehabilitated infrastructure. So we're picking up their clean-up costs thanks to the Queensland Government, publicly confirming that they assume liability. Thank you, Anita Palaszczuk. Thank you, Queensland taxpayers. What have we got here? Gained formal agreement with the Queensland Government to introduce legislative reforms to enable the use of steel casing and horizontal wells. Again, these guys are drafting the laws for the Queensland Parliament to sign off on in their favour. They're totally out of control. They've got the politicians under their thumb. And why have they got the politicians under their thumb? Because if you turn to the P&L, the revenue statement, what have we got here? We've got $14 million a year spent on lobbying and public relations. $14 million spent pestering politicians in the States and in Canberra, pestering editors and journalists. News Corp and Nine, the two major media houses, rewrite their press releases and run their staff almost every day. That's what the 14 million pays for. Of course, you won't find any tax in here because they're an association. It's a freebie. So while they're extracting our resources and exporting, according to this document, in this year, $405 billion worth of oil and gas, exporting it, extracting it from Australian soils and seabeds, and exporting it, how much tax? Well, the companies themselves are notoriously the worst taxpayers, corporate income tax, of any other sector in Australia. Compared to retailers and supermarkets and banks, virtually nothing. No tax, PR revenue to lobby politicians, 14 million. If you're wondering why there is no political action on climate change, or certainly not enough, nothing significant to achieve net zero, apart from a lot of greenwashing, and there's a lot of greenwashing in this document. There's all sorts of net zero talk. How you can reduce emissions while you're increasing your carbon exports by $96 billion in this year is pure fallacy. It cannot happen. The more oil and gas that you approve, the governments approve, the higher the carbon emissions will be, and they are approving projects like there's no tomorrow. Still under the new Labor government. It's not as bad as under ScoMo. There was a reduction last year, but it's on the rise again, as per Callum Foote's excellent expose of the approvals by Tanya Plibersek, the Environment Minister, for new coal and new oil and gas projects, and carbon capture and storage, which only prolongs and increases the use of fossil fuels and does not effectively capture and bury carbon. If you want to support us, you can check out Patreon, where we're going to do from now behind the scenes and exclusive content as well to touch base with community supporters.